Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have two clips to watch, which just highlight numerous things encompassed in these two clips. One, the never-ending, astounding levels of hypocrisy and double standards we get from the left in general, but also the state of the education system. We've got two clips. This one here is BLM, Antifa types doing what all the mainstream media and the Democrats referred to on Jan the 6th as insurrection. Only this time it's referred to as a peaceful protest. They stormed the building. This isn't in DC, it's in a state. It's a state legislature, but we'll get to that. And then the second clip is we have a law student who accosts Ted Cruz in the street, and they have an exchange in which the law student and his friends from the Twitterati think he scored some sort of major victory over Ted Cruz. But wait until you see it yourself. You're going to see that it isn't even about the victory. He didn't get the victory, Ted Cruz did. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that this guy's a law student. That should send shockwaves down your spine. So let's get into this video. But if you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. This is going out on BitChute as well, and we're going to start up on Rumble again. And to do all these things, like share it around to your normie friends and on social media. There's links down below, buttons down below. That helps us fight back against the censorship, crippling censorship that all independent commentary channels are facing at the moment. The mainstream media does not want any competition. They are desperate to reassert their control over public discourse. Anyway, let's go. Okay, so first, the report and the footage from the Oklahoma state legislature in which, using the mainstream media's own words, which they don't apply to here, of course, they stormed the building. Now, of course, they were only in the gallery, but that's getting away from the actual point of what they were doing. Whether they were in the gallery or not has nothing to do with the fact that they behaved the way you're going to see now.
Black Lives Matter activists stormed the Oklahoma State Capitol yesterday, and as you can see, they got in, forcing the House of Representatives into lockdown. The anger is over Republican bills which increase penalties for protesters who block traffic, and also protect drivers who unintentionally hit the rioters blocking traffic with their cars.
So what the activists are upset about is they want to make sure that nobody can stop them. You know, you've seen these clips where they stop cars and even trucks in the street. You saw that the other day after the, I did a video on it. After the Chauvin verdict, you'd think they would be happy and celebrating in the streets. They weren't. They were doing what they always do. They stopped the truck, tried to rip open the door and attack the driver for nothing. He had nothing to do with it. He was just driving through Minneapolis trying to deliver a load. So these activists are upset, they're angry because they want to keep their privilege of being able to block roads, to attack cars, pull people out of the cars and hurt them, which is what they've been doing for a long time. They put their hands in their pockets whilst they're beating them. They take their wallets, their phones, and just the usual, a day in the life of the usual suspects.
Oklahoma State Representative Kevin West, a Republican, joins me now. He was in the middle of all that. I mean, you could see everybody in the video there. What was it like to be there? How shocked were you when they showed up?
Well, first off, good morning, Harris. And it was absolutely a bit of a disruption. We have people come in all the time to the Capitol, and they're in the gallery. This particular group, we were just starting to vote on a bill, and they started chanting. I really couldn't hear exactly what they were chanting. And then from there, it just started escalating.
This guy here, he literally has a shirt called Nah. He has that typical Antifa flannel bib type thing that they always wear. And he's getting in the face of the Republican politicians and just giving an expletive laden tirade, which is what you expect. I mean, it's all you get from them. This is years and years of the education system, and all they produce is bib-wearing activists who every second word is an insult, every second word is a swear word, and it's all they can do. They don't respect people's rights. They don't respect even the concept of public discourse. They just want to get in there, shout, and as the man said himself, chant. That's what they do, they chant. It's like a religion. It's like religious fervour. Wokeism has become religious fervour.
So basically what we did, we exited the chamber, and we had the highway patrol was there, and they came in and escorted everybody out of the gallery.
Yeah, we see that. You know, I said they got in, and clearly people come to the venue and can get in there, but I meant they got to the floor, which, how unusual is that?
Well, actually, they did not get on the floor. They were in the gallery. The gallery is one floor above, and it's a big
okay, so
open
it's not that
room.
top.
Right.
So as I said, they did only get in the gallery, but that's not the point. You saw that they did approach Republican politicians. You saw that the guy with the bib getting in their face, giving them attitude and trying to intimidate them and so on and so on. But that's not the point, really. That's not the point. The majority of the people in DC on Jan the 6th weren't in the Capitol building. Most of them were outside at the windows, at the doors. So where they are is irrelevant. That's not the point. It's what their intentions are. And these guys here have far more sinister intentions than, in my opinion, Trump supporters ever have.
Okay.
So that's where guests and everybody come to watch the proceedings. And so once they started disrupting, we just shut things down until we could get everything under control, just to make sure that everybody was safe and that we could conduct business.
State Representative West, did it make a difference for them and their cause? I mean, are you re-looking at the legislation that would address what happens when people are blocking streets in protests and unintentional drivers can't get out of the way or get them out of the way and end up hitting them? I mean,
Please don't say yes, right? When I first saw this clip, I was thinking to myself, oh, here we go. He's going to submit. He's going to say, well, yes, actually, that's what I thought. I thought he was going to say something along the lines of, well, you know, I suppose we've got to look at it again and so on and so on. Because they always get their way. They always get their way. And you've got to stop. You've got to stop. I never thought in my lifetime, I know the West was crumbling. I've seen the Western society and civilization crumbling because the people in charge of it don't seem to want to preserve it. But I never thought I'd see the day in America that happened so quick. And remember, I love America. It's my favourite country. When mob rule would arrive, which it has. We now have mob rule. We now have this new religion, this religious fervour of the woke. But let's listen to his answer.
Is what they did yesterday effective?
Well, in any time that you're being disruptive, I feel like that hurts your cause. The First Amendment clearly establishes the right of free speech, the right to peaceably assemble, and also grants the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This actual bill, what it deals with is in riot situations. I went specifically into the existing riot laws that we have on the books. And expanded that just a little bit to include if you're unlawfully blocking the road, you can be charged with a misdemeanor.
A misdemeanor. After everything we've seen, he sounds like he doesn't even want to talk about it. He sounds like he's regretting even doing this interview. He sounds like he's sorry for his own legislation. He's sorry for trying to protect his own community. That's what he sounds like. And partially it's his own fault, but partially it's not. Mostly it's not. And the reason why I say that is because we live in a society now where if you have conservative principles, you are shamed. If you support your own community, you are shamed. If you support law enforcement, you are shamed. We are living in a society, where we're just expected to kowtow to the people you see on your screen here. The people who turn up outside people's homes, people's businesses, they block streets, they pull people out of their cars, even trucks. And as you saw now, they just barge through state legislator buildings. This isn't the first time this has happened at a state capitol building. It even happened in DC. Remember Kavanaugh, the Kavanaugh hearings, when they did it? But it's always defined as amazing activism by the mainstream media, unless the right does something. If the right does something, all of a sudden you'll hear about it for the next 100 years, day in, day out.
That can be jail time and or a fine. And then because of some events that happened in the Tulsa area over the summer, I added in a part where if you're in a motor vehicle and you're caught in one of those situations and you're in fear for your life, you can get out of that situation. Because what we found with what happened in Tulsa, the district attorney chose to not prosecute the driver, but he went after the people that were actually rioting in that situation.
Good. That's the way it should be. Rioting isn't... Listen, right, here in Britain, in the early 90s, 1991, there was the poll tax riots, yeah? And they were tame compared to what's happened over the last couple of years in the United States. They were bad, but compared to what's happened in the likes of Minneapolis, Kenosha, you know, the poll tax riots, the people went for the authority, yeah? They went for symbols of authority. They didn't smash people's houses, burn people out of their homes, or small businesses. On the contrary, a lot of the people were small business owners. Rioting is bad, right? That poll tax riot, you see the people who were the ringleaders, or at least the alleged ringleaders of the poll tax riots, they got 10 years in prison apiece. 10 years apiece. And it might be different now, of course, with everything we see in modern woke society. But during the 1990s, rioting carried a mandatory prison sentence. Mandatory. No, well, it's a starting point. Let's hear what the defence has got to say in mitigating circumstances and all this. It was a mandatory prison sentence. And now look in society. Not only is it not mandatory, you have, in the United States, district DAs taking the side of the people who are doing worse, rioting worse, than what happened in the poll tax riots. They burned people's homes down and loot businesses and that. Insanity. Just insanity. So what I would say to this guy is, don't feel bad for your own legislation. Do what you've got to do, right? Because people need to live. The woke brigade aren't going away. You keep appeasing them. You say, oh, well, we'll just do this and they'll go away. We'll just do that and they'll go away. We'll give them this, we'll do that. They're not going away. You're giving them power. You're giving them money. You're giving them prestige. You're giving them what they want, which is they want you to be fearful of them. They want to see it in your face. That's why they turn up 200 outside someone's house. What do you think they're there for? Why do you think 200 activists suddenly appear all at the same time outside someone's house? Why do you think they're doing that? They want you to be scared. That's what they want. That's what they want from you. Anyway, let's move on to the next clip. Okay, so next we have the fascinating video taken the other day of Ted Cruz. He finished talking about he's saying no to court packing, of course, which is what the Democrats are trying to do. And then a law student, who's obviously well steeped in all of the woke stuff that you find in every college now. Listen to the exchange they have, and remember that this guy's a law student, man. He's going to possibly be a judge one day. Who knows?
Court packing any different than what the Republicans did in 2016 and 2020?
We filled vacancies.
We
filled vacancies.
I know, but what are they doing? They're doing something that's allowed under the Constitution.
They're packing the court.
Yeah, allowed under the Constitution.
Lots of bad things.
So, I know, but it's not a destruction to the rule of law if it is in the law.
Sure, it is. It's politicizing the court.
I mean, you politicized the court in 2016.
No, we filled vacancies.
And they're just adding seats.
Adding seats is very different.
And FDR, and what you said before about FDR switching his decision in 1937 was factually incorrect. He switched because the seats and how they were voting changed.
No.
I mean,
the Democratic Congress said no.
I mean, there's the guy that they switched voting. The 5 and 4 switch seats.
But the Democratic Congress resisted FDR's abuse of power. And today's Democratic Congress doesn't do that anymore.
And the Republicans didn't in 2016 and 2020 with nominations.
We didn't pack the court. We didn't add a single justice. We could have done the same garbage, but we didn't because it would have been wrong.
In 2016, you guys...
Look, if there's a judicial vacancy, Joe...
This guy, this law student who's filming them, and on Twitter, when I got this video off Twitter, he thinks he owned Ted Cruz. He is a law student. He sounds like he's in his early 20s. He's probably been all the way through college. He is incapable of understanding the difference between filling an empty vacancy and adding an extra position. He can't tell the difference between the two, right? He can't tell the difference between filling up an empty glass of water, right, and seeing a full glass of water and then adding another one. In his mind, that's the same thing, right? Law student.
But the Democrats in the Senate are entitled to act to try to fill it. And if they nominate someone bad, we'll oppose that justice. I mean, that's the political process. That's how it operates.
And them packing the court is also part of the political process defined in the Constitution. They're allowed to add seats. We've added seats before. Why is adding seats now any different?
We've had 9 justices for 150 years.
Ruth
Bader Ginsburg said it'd be a mistake to change from 9. Stephen Breyer said it'd be a mistake to change from 9. This is an abuse of power. And by the way,
I doubt that they would be approving of what you guys did in 2016 and 2020.
Filling a vacancy is fundamentally different from packing the court and tearing it down. And listen, if the Democrats add 4 new justices, it also starts a ridiculous escalation. What does that mean? It means the next time Republicans take over, we add 4 new justices. That is a terrible thing. We don't need a Supreme Court with 35 judges on it. We've had 9 for 150 years, and we need to respect the rule of law. All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, you have a good...
So that's a law student. You hear him, he sounds like a baby. But in 1936, he sounds like a baby. An infantilized, petty baby who's likely, by the sounds of him, in his early 20s. I don't know how old he is, but I know he's a law student. And he uploaded this. He thought he owned Ted Cruz. He can't... That's how bad it is, right? He is mentally and emotionally incapable of understanding the difference between filling an empty vacancy and adding more judges. And you know, like Ted Cruz says, saying the Democrats do add 4, they probably will, because they don't have any sense of right and wrong. It's just their quest for power. And this law student is obviously one of their lemmings of preeminence. And then in 4 years, or whenever the Republicans win again, if they ever win again, honk honk, if they added 4 seats, this same law student will be hyperventilating because they have no standards. This is why society's in a mess. The left have no standards. They change what they want, what they say they want, what they pretend they want. On a day-to-day basis, they act differently depending on who they're talking to. They treat people differently depending on who that person is. They have no... I don't even think they know what they want. They just know they want something. And this feeling of desire, envy, lust, and hate is all mixed together. That's what wokeism is. It's a mix of those emotions. Envy, hate, lust, desire, and confusion. Mix all those emotions together in a big pot, and you get the woke crowd. You get what it means to be woke. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. That's on BitChute as well. There is a comment section down there. This is going out on YouTube and BitChute and possibly Rumble. We will be doing all 3 very soon, but it will be definitely on YouTube, of course, while we're still allowed, and BitChute. But if you haven't yet, share this around. Subscribe if you like the content. And let's get this out there because it's hard. It is hard opposing the mainstream media narrative. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.